Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And I am super excited to share with you today these three fun, awesome masculine cards made with the Mountain Air bundle from Stampin' Up! Now, if you're like me, you probably struggle just a little bit with masculine cards. And I have to say that this new bundle makes making masculine cards a snap. So I'm just going to show you the bundle and show you where to find it in the catalog. Oh, hi Joanne, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. I'm going to get these guys out of the way. So the bundle includes a stamp set with lots of images. Now I'm going to talk about this for a minute because I want to show you. If you look down here at the bottom, I'm not sure if that shows, but it says set of 7. Now, if we count all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So Stampin' Up! Did not make a mistake. There are 7 actual stamps in this stamp set. However, this is one of the very cool new reversible stamp sets. Hi Huda, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. So this stamp set, as you'll see, there are 2 stamps that are very similar. We have a detailed image stamp, and then we have one that's sort of a solid image. And that is actually done using the reverse of the detailed stamp. So we're going to do some of that today and you'll see exactly what I mean. So each one of the stamps in the set is actually reversible. Even the little birds, when you flip them over, look like a little cloud. Isn't that cool? I love that Stampin' Up! Has done this. So I'm going to show you how that works as we get into our project. So that's the stamp set. And then we have the die set. Now I have to tell you, it's a sad day, because I realized I'm missing a die. Sometimes that happens when we have classes, they accidentally get tossed in the trash. And yeah, I'm missing the die that cuts out the moon. However, the good news is you can also use your 1-inch circle punch to cut out the moon. So all is not lost. I can still cut out my moon with my circle punch, but I am missing a die here. It does come with a die that cuts out the moon, okay? How many of you have ever lost a die? Be honest. I'm hoping I'm not the only one. I'm not above going through the trash. However, I didn't realize this was missing until like a week and a half after the class, and I think it probably went out in the trash last week. So that's that sad day, but whatever. Life goes on. Okay, so let me show you that bundle in the catalog because I have good news for you. So here is the layout in the catalog. It's a full 2-page spread because it's just that awesome. So there's the stamp set and some awesome projects made with it and the dies. The bundle here in Canada is priced at $66.50, which is 10% off the individual price. So that means you're going to qualify for a celebration item if you purchase this bundle. So that is really good news. All right, so let's get rid of that and we're going to get going on our projects. We're going to start with this guy. It's pretty straightforward. So we're going to break in gently today. So I've done some advanced prep just because there's a fair bit of die cutting involved and I didn't want to have to haul my big shot all the way over here. Hey sister, how are you doing? All right, so we are going to start, let me get this guy out of the way, with a basic gray panel. It is cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, all right, and it is embossed using the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. Now this embossing folder is one, you're going to see it used on 2 of the projects today. It works beautifully with this set. If this is not one that you've invested in yet, you really need to do so. It's a great one. I use this a ton. Like, it's kind of one of my go-tos. All right, so I also have here a piece of Country Club Designer Series paper. Now, you may not recognize this by looking at this side, but if I flip this over, can you tell which set that is? That's the Golf Suite. All right, and so the one side has golf images, but the other side has awesome plaids and argyles that work for just about everybody. Hi, Gail. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for stopping by. So what I've done is die cut this piece using the largest die in the Stitch Nested Labels dies. However, I've cut off the top end. So I basically cut it right where it starts to angle inwards. Okay, so this is actually about 3 3/4 inches from top to point. So that is going to get glued on to my basic gray panel. I'll just use a little bit of Tombow here and pop that down. And I'm going to put it about roughly 1/4 inch over from the edge and just make sure that that's lined up at the top and straight. Okay, there we go. Next up, I have a set of the mountains. So these are just the mountain stamp. So I'll just show you quickly. First of all, you should know that in order to stamp these with a block, you're going to need the large, long block. It is the block I from the clear block set. The regular, I think it's the H, is not long enough, okay? So you need the extra long one, or your Stamparatus to stamp this. And I just stamped the detailed mountain image in basic gray ink on smoky slate cardstock, and then die cut it out. Okay, so I'm going to adhere that to the front of my panel here using a couple of dimensionals. So we'll just pop that on there. My fingers don't want to work because it's really, really cold in my studio right now. I turned on the space heater when I got home from work in the hopes that it would warm up, but so far it's still pretty chilly. So we're going to put that right about there. Okay, all right, next we're going to stamp our moon. So I have here a piece of Saffron cardstock and my moon stamp, and I'm going to stamp it in basic gray ink. Hi Claire, how are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. So we're going to ink up that moon stamp, and I'm just going to stamp it on my scrap of Saffron. And we'll close that up and get it out of the way. And then, because I don't have a die anymore, I am going to use my 1-inch circle punch, and look at how perfectly that fits in there. Okay, so in a pinch, or if you lose your die like I did, you could use the 1-inch circle punch to pop that out. Okay, so the moon is going to kind of tuck in behind the mountains like that. It is also going to get popped up, so I'm just going to add a dimensional just in behind there and just kind of tuck it in behind the mountains like that. It's already a pretty scene, isn't it? Love it. All right, next we're going to stamp our sentiment as soon as I find what I did with my little strip. There it is. It's buried. Okay, so this is just a 1/2-inch strip of Whisper White cardstock. It is one of those offcuts from when you cut your inside panels for your cards. And I am using a sentiment from the Itty Bitty Birthday stamp set. It just says birthday wishes. One of the things that people comment about this particular stamp is that there are no sentiments. And sometimes Stampin' Up! Does sell stamp sets that do not have sentiments in them. And so I'm going to show you several different sentiment sets today that work really well with this stamp set. So I'll just quickly show you the Itty Bitty Birthdays. This is from the annual catalog, and it is a great one. If you are a birthday card maker, this is a must-have because it's got sentiments for the front of the card and for the inside. All right, so Itty Bitty Birthdays from the annual catalog. All right, so now we are going to do our little tailor tag trick to make our banner end. We're going to make it on the left end of our sentiment strip. So again, I'm going to take my strip, I'm going to slide it in until I can see that sentiment there, and then back it off a little bit, center it, and punch. And there is my perfect little banner. All righty. Now, I also have a couple of trees that I have already die cut. So these are stamped in Garden Green, and then they are die cut using the Majestic Mountain is the name of the dies that coordinate with this stamp set. So that is the die set that I use. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my strip just to the back of one of the double trees. So I'll just add a little bit of fast fuse there, and we're just going to kind of tuck that in behind just like that. All right, so then that is going to get glued onto the front of our card as well. And because this is popped, we're going to pop the bottom of our trees so that they lie flush. And we're also going to pop up our sentiment strip. So we'll just get rid of these guys again. And I'm going to put just a titch of Tombow on sort of the top part of the tallest tree there, just so that it adheres to the other popped up pieces. So I'm going to have this so that it's just a little bit offset from the moon. And you just want to make sure that when you stick your sentiment piece down that it lies, it's straight and it's lying flat. Okay. The next little tree is going to get popped up on top of those because I love dimension on my cards. You may have noticed that I'm a little bit addicted to dimensionals. So I'm going to grab both a full size and a mini if my fingers decide to work. Come on, there we go. I've got a big dimensional backing stuck to this one, so we got to get rid of that too. Oh, for goodness sake. There we go. And we're going to pop that up, just offset again, so it looks, oh, forgot to peel the backing off of that one. Not good. There we go. We're going to pop that up just against that, like that. Okay. Now we're ready to go ahead and adhere that to our card base. I have a card base that's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. I'm going to fold in half along my score line, crisp it up with my bone folder, and then just add a bit of fast fuse to the back of my emboss panel. And we're going to pop that onto the front of our card. Just like that. Okay, now the last little touch is to add some stars twinkling in the sky. And I'm sorry, but man cards are allowed to sparkle, right? There is no unwritten rule that man cards are not allowed to sparkle, at least not in my book. So we are going to add just a couple of little bitty silver sequins. Now, this particular assortment, this metallic sequin assortment, has retired, but there are lots of other sequin assortments available in the catalog. So to glue these on, they are not self-adhesive, so I'm going to use a little bit of Crystal Effects and just put a little dab exactly where I want to put my sequins. And then I'm going to take your pick. Thanks, Deb. Glad you like that card. Being from Calgary, that's high praise. I love the mountains. The mountains, my dad grew up in the heart of the Austrian Alps in Tyrol, Austria. And I think there's just the mountains are just in my blood. They're in my DNA, and I absolutely love the mountains. I think that's why this stamp set speaks to me so much. Mountain imagery and the trees and just the beauty of it. Yeah, love it. So Calgary is one of my favorite places. All right, there is our finished card. How quick and easy was that, right? Now, let me show you the inside of my sample. I'm not going to take the time to do it today, but inside I stamped a few more trees on a Whisper White panel, and then I stamped another sentiment from the Itty Bitty Birthdays stamp set. Okay, so that is card number 1. Done and done. And next, I'm going to bring in card number 2. So this is just another nice masculine card with a nice tree scene. I'm going to show you how I did the water on this one, because I actually used the trees in kind of a creative way on this one. So let's get that kit out and we will get to it. Oh, you love mountains too, do you, Deb? Then you're living in the right place. I am so envious of the mountains, the Rockies. Even in Utah, whenever I go to Utah for Stampin' Up events, I could sit and look at the mountains all day. Okay, so we are going to do some stamping on our focal point. So this piece is a piece of Whisper White cardstock. It is die cut using the stitched rectangles dies. All right, so I'm using this as my focal image. And when you are stamping, especially when you are using the solid background image, you want to make sure you have your Stampin' Pierce mat underneath. If you don't have a Stampin' Pierce mat, they're in the catalog. They're inexpensive. I think they're less than $10. They're not a ton of money. And if another option would be if you have an old mouse pad, a mouse pad will work. Anything with a bit of give. Even in a pinch, I've used like a magazine or a catalog, but it's got to have a little give. So I have taken and flipped my mountains around so that the solid backside of the mountains is exposed. So the textured part is against the block now. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up my smoky slate. Grab my smoky slate ink pad rather, and I'm going to ink up the mountains with that smoky slate ink pad. Okay, so when you have a large stamp like this, it is much more effective to ink the stamp by taking the pad to the stamp rather than trying to take your stamp and blot it along the ink pad. By doing it with taking the pad to the stamp, it's easier to see that you covered the stamp completely and then it's covered evenly. Okay, all right, so we're going to go ahead and stamp the mountains. Remember, this is the solid mountain image, and I'm going to stamp it about 3/4 of the way up. Okay, and you're going to see that ink transfer as you stamp, so you want to make sure you get a really nice image. Okay, now my stamp had a little bit of stuff on it, wasn't perfectly clean, but that's not too bad. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and give that a quick clean. Where did I put there it is, my chamois. We're going to give that a quick clean. And now I'm going to go ahead and flip that stamp back around so I have the detailed image showing. And this time I'm going to ink with the basic gray. So just like we did on the last one, we're going to ink that up with the basic gray. I'm going to bring that back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp the detailed mountains, but I'm going to offset it. I don't want to try and line it up exactly. I want basically a different mountain range or a different set of mountains. Okay. So I'm going to stamp that just below and offset. Okay. There you go. With me so far? Pretty straightforward. All right. Next, we are going to use the tree image. So I have the trees mounted on the back of this block just because I only have one of these big blocks. I'm going to take the mountains off for a minute just so that I can show you the trees. Now, again, first thing I'm going to do is flip it around so that, again, my textured side of the stamp is against the block and I have the solid stamp here. Now, again, I'm going to give that just a quick clean because it's feeling a little gritty and we don't want a dirty stamp. All right, so now I'm going to bring in my garden green. And I'm going to ink that stamp up again. Okay. Again, you get best results if you kind of lightly blot your stamp with your pad. These large stamps can sometimes be a challenge to ink evenly. Now, this time I'm going to stamp, and I want to make sure I overlap this bit of white here. Okay. So I'm going to just make sure I come up and overlap the mountains there. Okay. Oh, I should have stamped off. Oops, forgot. Meant to stamp that off. That's okay. We'll just have really dark trees. On my original, I stamped this layer off. Oopsie. Shouldn't be talking while I'm trying to stamp, right? All right, so I'm going to give that a clean. And this time I'm going to flip my stamp back around. And we're going to ink up the textured side now with that same garden green ink. Now this will not be as obvious this time because I didn't stamp off, but you'll get the idea. All right, so I'm going to bring that piece back, and this time I'm going to stamp the detailed part of my trees, okay? There we go. Okay, so now we have our forest scene and our mountains. Now we're going to stamp the water scene down towards the bottom. So what I did is I used my tree stamp upside down to stamp the water. So again, I'm going to clean this to get rid of that green ink. And this time I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy. I'm going to ink up that stamp. Okay. And I'm going to stamp it just down sort of along the bottom edge of my focal point here. Okay. Then, once again, I'm going to clean that image. Or sorry, clean the stamp, not the image. The image is just fine. Clean the stamp. And flip it around. So I've got the solid side out. Press that into place. And this time I have to stamp off. Don't let me forget to stamp off. So we're going to ink this up. And you can imagine what would happen if I didn't stamp that off, because Night of Navy is such a strong shade of ink. So I'm going to actually stamp this off twice. So I get a really nice light shade. And then I'm going to go right over my water. And there's my water. Isn't that cool? So not only can you get trees in a forest, but you can get water with the bottom side of this stamp. Okay, so multi-purpose, gotta love that. So again, we're going to give this a quick scrubby dub. My poor chamois is going to need a serious wash after this one. All right, I'm going to get this out of the way. And now we're ready to finish our card. So here I have another stitched rectangle. It is cut from Garden Green cardstock. It is the next size up from this one. Okay, so they're going to layer really nicely. So we're going to go ahead and glue that one on. And just center it on there, right about there. Okay, now we're going to assemble the backdrop of our cards. We'll set that aside for a minute. So here, I know, isn't that cool? Upside down, it could be water. I was kind of excited when I discovered that. So this is a Night of Navy panel. It is 4 by 5¼ inches, and I've used that same Pinewood Planks embossing folder. Now you can do it. There are 2 ways to use this folder. This is called emboss because the pattern is pressed into the cardstock. If you flip it over where you have the raised pattern, that's called, sorry, I lied. This is debossed. This is embossed. So if you like the raised pattern, you can use this side up. If you like the pressed in pattern, you can have this side up. I personally prefer the debossed look, so that's the one I'm going to go with. I have another piece of Country Club cardstock. This one has the golf carts on the back, but it has this awesome green plaid. So we're going to go ahead and adhere that. This is 2 by 5 1/4 inches, this strip, and we're going to glue it on so it's about 1/4 of an inch, maybe just a titch more over from the left edge, just like that. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and glue on our focal image. So we're going to apply a little bit of adhesive there and pop that on. And the nice thing again about using plaid is that you have lines and they will help you to get your things on straight. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? All right, so now I have some trees. Again, these are stamped in garden green. When I stamped these, my garden green was getting very dry, so they look like they've been stamped off. If you're using a nice inky garden green, you won't get them this light, but you could absolutely stamp them off to get that same look. Hi, Deneen, how are you? So we're going to go ahead and pop up our trees. I'm going to need some more dimensionals soon. I'm running out. So we'll get rid of these backings and pop one of these. Now I don't want them standing in the water, right? So imagine this is the shore and it's a little bit snowy. Not hard to imagine right now in Canada. So there's one, and then we're going to add our second tree. And this one I think I'm going to actually pop up. You know what? I might actually do that behind and do it flat. It's fun to arrange the trees and build your own forest. So we're going to put just a bit of Tombow on that one and just slide it in behind, just like that. There's our forest. Well, start of our forest anyway. All right, so now we can adhere this to our card base. Here I have a card base that is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So I'm going to fold that in half along my score line. And then add a bit of fast fuse or whatever adhesive. I like my fast fuse. I'm not going to be liking it for much longer because I'm almost out. And we're going to pop that right onto the front like that. Okay, now we're going to stamp our sentiment. So I have here just a little scrap of Whisper White. And for this one, I used a sentiment from one of the free celebration options. So this is the Sending You Thought stamp set. It is a sentiment stamp that is free with a $60 order here in Canada during celebration. And again, lots and lots of sentiment options. So if you purchase your Majestic Mountain or your Mountain Air bundle, you could get this for free and have both the images and sentiments, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. All right, whoops, I grabbed the wrong one. Let me grab the right one. This is the right stamp. So we're going to ink this up in Night of Navy and stamp that, and then we're going to punch it out. So there's our happy birthday. And then we're going to use a new punch from the catalog. There's Label Me Pretty and Label Me Fancy. I think this is Label Me Fancy. So this is a new punch, a label punch, and it has the option to punch holes or slots for ribbon, which is something that people have been asking for a really long time. So I'm excited about this punch. But it's a great size and a great shape. So we're going to go ahead and just center that image in the punch and pop it out. And then, because I like to add a little something to my sentiments, just to make them stand out a little bit more, I'm going to ink up my trees again, but the detailed trees, not the solid ones. So I'll flip this back around and grab my garden green. And I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to this stamp and bring back my mat. And we're just going to add just a couple of little trees. Oh, stamped off once along the bottom of our sentiment there. Come here, you. Just like that. Okay, just adds a little something and draws a little bit more attention to it and ties it in with the front of our card. So we're going to pop that onto the front of our card using a couple of dimensionals. And voila, there is our finished card. Isn't that cute? I mean, masculine cards can be cute, right? I think that's cute. I think it's quite pretty. Pretty? I don't know. Manly. It's manly. That's what it is. All right. And there is the inside of our card. So again, another sentiment from that celebration set and a couple of trees. And there you go. Quick and easy man card. All right. Okay. Who's ready for a fun fold? I love fun fold cards. So when I saw this set, I knew that it was begging to be used on a bridge fold card. So bridge folds are a pretty simple, fun fold. So if you are new to card making and new to fun folds, this is a really great one to start with because it's kind of hard to screw up. Now, having said that, watch me screw it up because I'm infamous for messing up my fun folds on my live videos. Anyhow, we're gonna make this one, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna show you exactly how we're gonna do it. So we'll get this out of the way and pull in, first of all, our card base. So I've already gone ahead and cut and measured this, but I did write down my measurements for you. And I'll actually put them in the description of the video when I'm done, okay? So this is cut to 8 by 4 1/4, okay? 8 by 4 1/4. Is it 8? Now I'm second guessing myself. I have a feeling it's not, but I'm gonna just double check. No, it is right. I'm right. It is 8. Okay, 8 by 4 1/4. And it is scored at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 5 1/2, and 6 3/4. Okay. And again, these measurements will all be up in the description as soon as I finish this video. Okay. I will go and put them up. All right. So what I'm going to do is fold the ones closest to the middle inwards on both sides. Okay. And then I'm going to fold the other ones outwards. Okay, so that is the foundation of our bridge fold card. All right. Okay, now we need to do some stamping. So for the inner panel, this is the panel that's going to nestle right in here. Okay, this is 3 by 4 1/4 inches. All right, it's actually just a teeny smidge less than 3, so it fits really nicely in there without getting in the way of the folds. Okay, all right. So on this one, I'm just going to stand up my original so I don't screw this up. Okay, so I'm going to take my mountain stamp, and I need to clean my tree stamp and get it off my block. I think it's time to invest in another one of these big blocks. I don't use it very much, but with this set, it is a must-have. All right, so I am mounting my mountain stamp, again, so that the solid side is facing out. And I'm going to bring in my smoky slate ink and ink that stamp up. I'm not going to worry about inking the ends because I'm only going to need the middle. And bring back my mat, flip my grid paper over so I have a fresh sheet. And we are going to stamp those mountains about, I don't know, again, probably 3/4, 2/3 to 3/4, but we're going to stamp off because I'm not going to forget this time. And we're going to stamp that right about there. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to flip this around and mount it so that my textured stamp is facing out. I'm going to take that same basic gray ink and ink up my stamp. And then this time, without stamping off, I'm going to stamp another set of mountains. Now, I'm not going to do them too much lower. I'm just going to make sure that I'm offsetting, okay? So I get something that looks like that. And the white parts actually looks like mountain or snow on the top of the mountains. Isn't that kind of cool? I like that look. All right, we're going to get rid of the mountain stamp, and we're going to bring back our tree stamp. So again, I'm mounting it so the textured side is against the block, so my solid side is out. And this time, just for a change, I'm using some shaded spruce ink. So we're going to ink up our trees with the shaded spruce. And again, I'm going to stamp off, get rid of some of that ink. And then we're going to stamp that solid image just so it's overlapping at the bottom of the mountains there. Okay? Alrighty. Now we're going to give that a quick scrub, because that ink is really saturated. And flip the stamp around again. Oh, Julie, I love it too. So many awesome possibilities. I just need more time to play. That's my biggest problem right now. We are into exams at school and I have marking up to my eyeballs. Okay, so now with the textured side out, I'm going to stamp again right over that solid image, but offsetting a little bit. Okay. And there I have my forest. Look at how quick and easy it was to create that scene. Yes, they are. Oh, Deb, you are a woman after my own heart. They are calling for Wink of Stella. You and I would be fast friends. You need to move to Ontario. Or better yet, I need to move to Calgary, closer to the mountains. And we can stamp our hearts out. Okay, so we're going to get that one out of the way. And now we're ready to go ahead and stamp our little birds. The birds, I think, are the cutest little things ever. It's an itty bitty stamp. I'm going to use some basic gray ink just so they contrast a little bit against the mountains. So we'll ink this up. And you just want to make sure that they're V's when you stamp them and they're not, I don't know, they look like, if you, here, let me stamp it and I'll show you what I mean. If you stamp it the wrong way, it kind of looks like a man with a mustache. Ask me how I know that, okay? So double check to make sure your birds are going the wrong way before you stamp them. Okay, so we're going to stamp a couple little birds just over the mountains there like that. And that part of the scene is done. So quick and easy. All right, so let's glue this into our card. We're going to just add a little bit of Tombow here and pop that in to the inside of our bridge fold. So it's going to nestle in there like that. And I kind of like to have my sides kind of folded up just to make sure that I'm getting it nicely centered and it's not going to be a problem when I go to close that. Okay. All right. So that is done. Now we have to decorate these front panels a little bit before we do anything else. So we're going to grab some strips of that awesome Country Club DSP. These are cut to 1 1/8 by 4 1/8. I'm pretty sure they're 1 1/8. Yes, they are. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of Tombow to the back of those and glue one on each of the side panels here. Hi, Kathy. How are you? You will recognize this card. This is the one you loved so much at Wine Club last month. My Wine Club ladies were complaining this one had too much stamping on it. So they didn't like this card very much. Okay, so there are our side panels. Now we're ready to create our bridge. So the reason this is called a bridge fold is because this piece acts as a bridge between these two side panels. So you can kind of see it when I hold it that way, right? There's our bridge. So I've already gone ahead and stamped and die cut the bridge piece, actually 2 bridge pieces, because just in the interest of time. So this started out as just a 5.5 by 2.5 inch piece of cardstock, of Whisper White cardstock, and I stamped that forest scene, and then there is an edge die that cuts that around the trees like that. Okay. Then I also have another set of mountains. These were stamped on another strip of Whisper White cardstock using smoky slate ink, and then die cut again. All right. So what I'm going to do is just glue these. Like, look at how great that looks, just like that. 2 simple pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the mountains in behind the trees. Just going to add a little bit of fast fuse. And we're going to just tuck those in behind the trees like that. Okay, so simple. I got fast fuse on my grid paper. Okay, you with me? Hi, Jamie. How you doing? All right, now the cool thing when you're making your bridge fold, it's really, really easy to assemble. So what you want to do is you want to lay one side out flat and you want to tuck the other side in. Okay, and if you look at this and you measure it, you'll see that this measures 5.5 inches, so it will fit in a standard card and fold flat for mailing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, with those pieces laid flat, we're going to glue the bridge on to the front of our card like that. Okay, now we want to take care only to put glue here and here, right? If we put glue all the way across the bridge piece, our card won't do much. It will not be a very fun fold. So we just want to make sure we're lining up the edges of the bridge with the edges of the cardstock. And voila, there is our bridge. Isn't that cool? Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, now we're just going to decorate this a little bit more because, well, why not, right? We have lots of beautiful stamps in this set, so why not use them? So I have here some more trees that I've stamped and die cut. So we're going to add some to either side. We're going to put just these single trees flat on one side, and this will kind of cover up where it doesn't quite, the stamped image doesn't quite go to the edge. And then we're going to pop up these guys. Oh, I'm down to my last couple of dimensionals. Going to have to start using the edge. So we'll pop these on with a couple dimensionals. Overlap it like that. Okay, and then on the other side, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to glue the 2 trees flat, just for some variety. So we'll pop these guys over here. My nose is starting to run because it's so cold in here. Sorry for the sniffles, you guys. I'll try to minimize it. Nothing makes me crazier than listening to kids sniffling in class. It's like my biggest pet peeve. That's why I always keep a box of Kleenex on my desk that I very freely share with my students. Okay, so we're going to add a couple more dimensionals to the back of the single tree. And we'll just add this one. And I kind of don't want them to look too symmetrical. So I'm going to move this guy so he's sort of off by himself a little bit. Okay. So our last thing is to add our sentiment. So here's another, actually, you know what? I'll just use, no, I can't use that one. Not enough room. I'll use this scrap of Whisper White. And here is yet another happy birthday. It looks very similar. You can see why I confused the two last time. So this is the one that's from the Celebration set. This one is from this one, Peaceful Moment. So this is part of the Painted Poppy suite, and it comes with a set of dies that coordinate with that suite. But this on its own is an awesome stamp set. Has a lovely sympathy sentiment, has some great fonts, and just some really great fun sentiments. So this is another great option for sentiments with this set. So we're going to use our happy birthday. And I'm going to stamp again in Night of Navy as soon as I find it. It's buried under the other ones. So we'll go ahead and stamp that. And once again, oh, thanks for sharing, Julie. I appreciate it. So we're going to stamp that and then punch it out again with that same new label die. It's either Label Me Fancy or Label Me Pretty. One of them, I can't remember. And then we're going to add just a couple little clouds because this is going to be up in the sky on our scene, right? So I thought, well, why not add some birds and some clouds, right? We see those things in the sky. So we're going to add a couple of little smoky slate clouds. And again, I'm stamping off because I don't want to take away from my sentiment. Okay, I want them to be nice, light, fluffy clouds. Okay, and then I'm going to bring back my basic gray ink and my cute little bird stamp. And we'll add a couple little birds up in the corner. There we go. Isn't that cute? I love adding little touches to my sentiments. It just draws attention to them. And I don't know, it just makes them blend with the card. It's just a me thing. Okay, so this is going to get added to one side of our bridge. You can do it on this side or this side. If you have a little oops there that you want to hide, you can certainly move it. You could even put it down here if you wanted to. I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to use just a touch of Fast Fuse. And now the trick is you want to make sure this is straight. So the easiest way to do that is to fold your card flat, okay? And then just adhere that so you've got kind of that straight edge at the top to line it up with, okay? And there's your finished bridge fold. Isn't that fun? Folds flat, but it's a cute little scene to stand up and have on someone's mantle or someone's desk for their birthday. Now I'll just quick show you what I did. Because there isn't any way to write on the inside of this, what we do is we write on the back. So I add a panel, a Whisper White panel, and just stamped another sentiment, and then there's space if you fold it flat to write your message. Okay, so fun card, easy fun fold. Great way to try a fun fold if you've never tried one. It's a good one. It's pretty straightforward, and I didn't screw it up. Are you proud of me? I'm proud of me. Okay, let me bring back our 3 projects. There they are. And as you can see, I kind of went with a common color scheme on this, but there are so many possibilities, and I'm going to have some more to share throughout the week. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see lots more samples using this set. Now, before I let you go, I have to remind you of a couple things. First of all, today is the last day to take advantage of my Tropical Oasis online class. Okay, so placing a $60 order, you could even order this stamp set or this bundle on my website using this host code will get you the video tutorial, the PDF, and all of the supplies for these 5 tropical Hawaiian cards. Okay, but today is the last day, so get your order in before midnight tonight, and I'm going to be closing out that workshop first thing tomorrow morning. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure you don't miss out on that host code. All right, so that is item number 1. Number 2 is next week is my customer appreciation week. So I am So excited about this. I have some fun things planned. I have a really exciting announcement, and it all kicks off this weekend with my customer appreciation open house here in Cambridge. If you live too far away to come to that, don't worry. I will have some special things for you online as well. But I hope you will join me next week. We're going to have a special Tuesday Live at 5 with lots of giveaways. So I invite you to tune in and just follow me all week for some lots of fun and exciting things. Okay? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. I hope you've enjoyed these projects, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.